This great book, to me, is the most underrated Bronze Age comic out there, period. If you collect Bronze Age horror, you may get confused on which ones you should get. Should you get them all? Should you get the keys? Well, this is a genre that really doesn't have keys. Actually, it does. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about only the keys, books you should really be focusing on if you collect this genre, because they're not talked about a lot as a group. Today, we're doing that. Before we get into all that, you can find us every Monday night on Instagram, 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's when we sell our comics. So we do it live every week, Rachel and I. Make sure to check it out. We have different stuff every week. What else do we have?
We also have a Buy It Now on Instagram where we post books for sale. We have some up there right now that you can check out. We are also doing our second ever hosted auction over on Shortbox starting on October 11th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 2025. And it ends on Tuesday, October 14th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Link in the bio, QR code on the screen. Definitely check it out. We have tons of really great Silver Age, mainly Silver Age comics.
Mostly Silver Age, got some keys in there, all dollar starts.
Dollar starts. We also have an eBay store, so check it out. We list new items every week on eBay. Got lots of good stuff over there too.
What you're not going to find is any of the books we're talking about. So.
Yeah, you won't find any of these, but also...
Yeah. We buy comic collections. If you're thinking about selling your comic collection, please reach out to us. We would love to chat with you. You can find us in the description or this QR code. Just beam it. Right? Anyway, here we go. Collecting Bronze Age comics can be quite nuanced. A couple of things you need to know if you don't collect them. People don't necessarily collect them for the stories. I mean, they're really collected for the covers. They make up some of the best covers of the late 60s and early 70s in comic books. So,
and there's only a handful of the artists that do them, so...
Yeah, there wasn't a great deal of artists doing them, but Neil Adams, Bernie Wrightson, Kaluta... There were some very good artists that were able to kind of stretch their muscles and not be in the confines of a superhero, so they made some really cool covers. Often the covers are better than the stories. Not all the time. There are some series like Weird War Tales. I think the stories are pretty cool. There's some other ones that are okay, but following the lead from the 50s in EC where, Tales of the Crypt, shock suspense stories, some of that stuff really had some good writing. Not as much in the later era, so this is a very cover-driven part of the hobby. Which, by the way, there are tons of collectors that only buy comics for the covers, and we encourage that, because art is art, and however you appreciate art, I get it. I have bought books strictly for the covers, and often do. We're also going to include some supernatural books. They're kind of separated a little bit, where straight-up horror doesn't have to be supernatural, where supernatural obviously is, and I'll point them out as we do. It's an important part of the hobby, and it's also historically where a lot of horror content came from, going back all the way to Shelley's Frankenstein when she wrote that book. So there's lots of stuff like that. Anyway, you'll see what I mean in a moment. Now, if you're currently a comic book investor and you collect and you really think, well, at some point I might want to sell off portions of this, or it's part of my estate, and when I leave the celestial plane, I want to sell them and make a bunch of money, like to make good investments when I spend a lot of money, I get that. And you're going to be thinking about these books in the highest grade, white pages if possible, which it always isn't, especially in this part of the era. It's very hard to get white pages. Well-centered, nice staples. Yeah, you can't be as selective when there's only 10 graded copies of something, or only 3 exist in that grade. The highest graded copy of some of these could be a 9.4. There are tons of books that we're not mentioning today that can literally go for thousands of dollars in high grade. They're heavily sought after, and people think every one of these books is a key because it has Neil Adams or Bernie Wrightson art. For whatever reason, they're probably not. They're just incredibly popular, and all you have to do is take one look at the cover and you know why. We're talking about the actual keys. And these are just as cool, but it's important, I think, everyone needs to know what the keys are and why they're keys. Before we break it down, I want you to know that if you wanted every one of these books that I'm talking about, you could probably achieve that with just a few $1,000s.
If you're not a grade snob.
Yeah, if high grade's not your goal, any one of these books in super high grade could cost that much by itself. But let's say that you're collecting in the very good range, which is a 4.0, you could probably get all these for around $3,000. Isn't that something? And I'll let you know the raw prices on that grade as we go along. Here we go. We're going to start off with the one that everyone probably knows, which is House of Secrets, number 92, the first appearance of Swamp Thing.
It came out in 1971, and Bernie Wrightson did the cover. We've talked about this book many times on our channel.
We probably will again.
But if this is the first time you're seeing it, you're welcome.
Couple of things I want to mention. It's a gray tone cover. I don't know if we can say that every time. Also, it doesn't have a lot of gloss on it. So being like a gloss-free cover, it really shows defects, but highly, highly desirable for the type of art that it is. Also introducing a character that has been around ever since.
Yes. So there are 3,900 copies total that are on the census slabbed by CGC. There are only 398s.
Very
Thanks
difficult.
for the gloss, I guess.
Yeah, it was just very difficult to get this book without a spine tick on it.
And there's 3,396s. So high grade copies are hard to come by for this book. We are going to give you guys some data from GP analysis, which is information that's gathered through specific sales. Not all sales. So like places like Comic Link and Heritage don't actually get tracked in here. So these sales may not actually be the highest sale that's ever happened, but these are the highest sales that have ever been tracked by GP analysis. So the highest sale ever in a 9.8 for House of Secrets 92 was $90,000, and that was in 2021.
Needless to say, this is a very important book, and hopefully this is a sobering perspective of what we're talking about. We're talking about serious art pieces that people collect, and they're willing to spend a lot of money to get one of these rare high-grade copies.
When people think about a horror comic book that they want, this is most likely on their list. This book particularly is maybe highest on their list.
You're right, and to that point, there's people that don't collect horror at all that want this.
Because they like Bernie Wrightson, or they like the cover, they like Swamp Thing, blah, blah, blah.
It's a standalone book. Let's say you're a collector, it doesn't have a budget. I don't, for $90,000. But you'd like to get a copy. I think you could probably get a copy between $600 and $700 in very good 4.0. Raw, not slabbed. So totally achievable. And by the way, do I think that's a good investment? I do. I really do. I think if you can get a copy of this, get it.
Yep.
I think that as you start to get into 1/8s, 2.0s, they're going to be more common than you think because that's the ones that haven't been graded. There are some graded copies like that, but I think a 4.0 is a nice, respectable grade that can present very nice. If you get the right 4.0, it can be very, very good looking. And that's kind of what you want. You want to look at the cover of this book. This leads right into Swamp Thing number 1.
Also covered by Bernie Wrightson. It came out in 1972, and it's the origin of Swamp Thing.
Now, this cover I do not think is as good as the House of Secrets, but man, it's good. It's definitely Bernie Wrightson at his finest, and it's just got a lot of action on it. Of all of the first 10 issues, which are all Bernie Wrightson art, of the series, this is my favorite cover of them all, and I think it's probably the most desirable from the entire run of Swamp Thing.
Yes, there are 3,657 total graded copies.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Not as many as House of Secrets 92, but close. 52 9/8s and 162 9/6s.
Interestingly, you could probably get a very good copy of this for around $75.
But the highest sale ever in 9.8 was for $7,000, and that was in 2021. Most of these sales are from 2021 because it was the boom.
Yeah, so you'll notice that a lot of the track sales have kind of fallen off because a lot of the sales have happened behind the scenes, a private dealer to a collector, or something that doesn't track. So don't think that when the sales aren't there, it doesn't mean the book is not. It doesn't mean that that book is not popular, and it doesn't mean that that book's not selling.
Some of these books haven't had sales in years and years, which I'll get to eventually.
The people that were searching for them then got them, and they're holding on to them.
And I'm sure they're happy with how much they paid for them.
Or not. I mean,
or not.
They're kind of expensive in 21, but yeah.
The next one is Werewolf by Night number 32 from 1975. Gil Kane and Al Milgrom did the cover, and it's the origin and first appearance of Moon Knight.
This is a supernatural comic that does it. It's not really mainstream horror, but come on, it's showing up in Werewolf by Night. Werewolf's a little bit horror, powered by a ancient god. So
and this book's so popular.
This book is popular and expensive.
Yes. So there are 6,216 total graded copies. A lot. 25 9/8s and 102 9/6s. The highest sale ever in 9.8 was $70,500, and that was in 2022.
So it's for real. You can get a very good for around $600 to $700. Once again, I think that's a good buy. I don't think people that are able to pay that would mind. Later on down the road, I think you're going to do pretty well with this book.
The next one's Tomb of Dracula number 1 from 1972. Neil Adams did the cover, and it's the first appearance of Dracula.
Yeah, back in the day, I wasn't focused on Marvel. As I came back to the hobby, I kind of like this cover. I mean, it's a Neil Adams cover, but it's not as obvious because Neil Adams drawing a character from history like that, he didn't take a lot of liberties there. It looks like Dracula.
It does, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
4,124 total graded copies.
It's a lot.
Yes. 109 eighths, 196 9/6.
That is low.
Very low compared to how many are graded. The highest
Yeah.
sale ever in 9/8 was $16,800 in 2021.
That's a piece of change.
It sure is.
Now, if you're just a collector that wants a copy, you can get one for a couple $100. So all of these are in the very good category, and that's where I would say it's a good place to start. Any lower grade, you're really going to probably suffer from the way it looks. You can get a good-looking 4.0. So I would say be selective when you get these, and they're going to sell in that price, in that grade, so you really have to keep your nose to the grindstone, you know what I'm saying?
The next one is Tomb of Dracula number 10 from 1973.
Yep.
Gil Kane and Tom Palmer did the cover. It's the first appearance of Blade the Vampire Slayer.
Super popular.
I love Blade.
And it got really popular when the movie came out with Wesley Snipes, and it's a good movie.
So good.
I like that movie.
It's so good.
So that didn't hurt it, right? And even as time has gone on, most of the time you'll see these books dip. This one stays very popular.
Well, and with Wolverine and Deadpool movie with his cameo, like who knows what's gonna happen with Blade?
People want Blade back.
Who
They
doesn't?
want Wesley Snipes back as
Snipes
Blade.
is everything.
He was great.
So there are 5,567 total graded copies of this book. There is a 9.9 of this, and it was from 2005 was the last sale of the 9.9.
Wow.
Which is crazy. There are 92 9/8s, and there are 165 9/6s. The 9.9 sold so long ago,
It's not.
it doesn't even
not
matter.
relevant.
It's
Yeah.
It probably sold for way less than what it would today.
I did. I promise you, 20 years makes a difference.
But the highest sale ever for a 9.8 was $48,000 in 2021.
Pricey.
So who knows what that 9.9 would sell for today?
Do you think, are you getting a notion at this point that these books look like keys because of how expensive they are? See, the other books in the horror genre, you might get one for $2,000 or $3,000 in 9.8. Sometimes a 9.6 will cost $1,500, $1,800. These are quite different, and they all have some aspect of them that makes them a key comic. This is the first Blade. So we'll keep going.
And even though these are like the highest sale ever, they may not represent what they sell for today, but like they got legs, like you said. This is House of Secrets 81 from 1969. Neil Adams did the cover. It's the first appearance of Abel in title, origin of the House of Secrets, and where the mystery format begins.
This book flies under the radar, number one. Number two, I don't think a lot of people are focused on this book. Number three, incredibly hard to find in any kind of high grade. Once you get to 8.0, they drop off a cliff. You just can't find them. Number four, if you do find one in 4.0 or better, I would advise you to get it if the price is fair. The price is going to be challenging on these, and I'm going to start with the raw price. You can get, it says there's been sales in the $50 range for a 4.0. If you see a 4.0 for $50 of this book, get it. If it looks nice, get it. But let's hear some details because they're a little bit confusing on this one.
So there's only 161 graded copies.
Compare that to everything else I'm talking about.
The highest graded copy is a 9.4. There's only 7 of them, and there are 10 9.2s. 9.4 hasn't sold since 2020. It sold for $1,155 in 2020.
Yeah.
A 9.2 just recently sold in 2025 for $2,640, which I feel like they got a good deal for that.
I'll tell you what, if a 9.6 or a 9.8, 9.8's really unrealistic because let me remind you, Halftime Report, let me remind you, these books were not considered collectible at the time. There were people starting to collect. Conventions had just cranked up. People started using bags around this period. These were kind of looked at as throwaway books. Funny books in the greatest sense of the word, like, oh, this is just for cheap entertainment. And this book is important. It started the whole run of all of these series going into great artists, different stories, getting away from old and dead formats. They took over, for instance, House of Secrets used to be more like science fiction or weird funky stories,
monsters,
not serious. Now we're going straight horror. Comic Code be damned. It was like we're going to show some scary stuff. And so this great Neil Adams cover, this great book, to me is the most underrated Bronze Age comic out there, period. It's the most underrated. I really do think people should be scraping the floors to find copies of this. Buy them, enjoy them, but put them away. Because the time will come where people will be like, wow, this book is the beginning of it, and I can't, everything else is high grade or however you collect, but not this copy. So I had a 9.0 that I bought, 5-6 years ago. I sold to a friend of mine, and I kind of regret it. But we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going because 9.0 was the highest grade I could find. Got it in an auction. Got it for $350. What a steal. So that just goes to show how underrated the book is.
I will say I found a mid-grade or a higher low-grade copy at like a tiny little store in Portland for $30 that I did buy.
Yep, we bought it and sold it.
Yep.
Moving on.
Here's the next one. This is House of Mystery 174 from 1968. It's a Joe Orlando and George Russo cover. And this is where the mystery format begins in House of Mystery.
So a lot of people, this one's different than the House of Secrets. I'll tell you, it's different on a lot of levels. Number one, everyone thinks this is a Neil Adams cover. It's Joe Orlando.
I've seen listings that said Neil Adams on them. I was like,
because you got the kids, you got the bing and the boom and the bang.
It's definitely an homage.
And the book I'm going to talk about in a minute is very similar to it, and it is Neil Adams, and just hold them up to each other and see the difference. Not that Joe Orlando wasn't great. He kind of was. He was a good artist. However, this book is reprints. This book is the first in the series that is a horror format for this title, but A, it's not Neil Adams like the House of Secrets. B, it's reprints. The other books are different. So let's talk about stats.
So there are 306 total graded copies.
Low.
2 9/8s, 12 9/6s.
Super low.
The highest sale ever for a 9/8 was for $7,500 in 2021, but a 9/8 has not sold since. That is the highest sale and the only sale of a 9/8.
So I think that people really kind of think this is the cat's meow on this series, and I'm going to tell you different in a moment. So raw, you can get a 4.0 for around $125. If you find one like that presents well, get it. I mean, it's just going to be worth it. Put it away. As you can see, there's not tons of them out there graded, and it's not because there's not tons out there raw. Don't get me, there's people that collect these that still have the original copy they bought, believe it or not. But they're not going to be around forever. Those books are going to hit the market at some point. It's not going to flood the market. I just do not think it will. So I think that this book's always going to be in demand, and it's a good book to get. But I want to talk about 2 other important keys, in my opinion, from the series.
House of Mystery 175 from 1968. Neil Adams did the cover, and it's the first appearance of Kane.
Yeah, this to me is the actual first issue. It's not reprints.
Iconic cover.
Yeah, it is, but everyone, when they think of the key, they think of the issue before. They don't necessarily think this is it, right? So this is the book that I think all your energy is getting a copy of this. Incredibly hard to find in grade, oh my gosh. And there's not a lot, I don't think there's any 9/6s.
Well, you're about to be told wrong.
Well, I take the...
There's no 9/8s, though. 132 total graded copies. 2 9/6s.
Yeah.
7 9/4s.
Wow.
If you pop a 9/8 of this, good luck.
I don't plan on that. It's not going to happen.
So a 9/4 hasn't been tracked in GPA for sale since 2017, but we sold one.
Sold one at auction for over $3,000 in the last 8 months.
Yeah, in the last year or so. A 9/2 sold in 2024 for $1,545.
This book is the one you really want to find. Man, if you can get anything over a 7.5, you're doing well. And even a 7.5 you should be happy with, because they're just not out there, guys. And as time goes on and people really refine which horror books they're collecting from this era, you're going to find every book we're talking about today, these are going to stand out like, well, sure would like a copy of that. So not that they're the best, but they're certainly the ones I think an investor would like to have, because every collection is going to be missing these. You see how some of these are really low census, hard to find in grade. Now, it says there's been sales in very good of this book in the $50 range. If you find a 4.0 for $50, if you don't want it, let me know about it. If you can get one, grab it. I mean, it's a key. It's an important book. Don't forget, there are very, very few keys within this genre. And the fact is that these may not stand out to you as much, but they're keys and they're important. And for me, I salivate when I see them. I know exactly what they are. This next one is a doozy.
This is House of Mystery 179 from 1969, another Neil Adams cover, and it's the first Bernie Wrightson interiors.
That's important. Now, think about that coupling. Neil Adams did the cover, Bernie Wrightson did the interior, but that cover is one of my favorite covers of all of them. So the colors, the white of this witch's hair. Man, this is a book I'd like to own and grade.
I'd like to see the interiors of it. I don't know if I ever have.
I have, and they're pretty. Bernie Wrightson did great interiors. This is not the only interior he did. So let's talk about this book for a moment.
So there's only 197 total graded copies. There are no 9/8s.
So low.
0 9/8s, 4 9/6s, and 6 9/4s.
9/6 of this, man.
A 9/6 hasn't sold since 2011, and it was a pedigree. It sold for $2,629 in 2011.
Oh, that would be astronomical today.
A 9/2 sold in 2024 for $1,750.
And that's really a low price if you ask me. I mean, that's a great price. Now, I've seen sales recorded in Very Good for $50. If you can find a nice presenting copy of this for $50, buy it and run out of that place snickering in your fist because you scored.
That's why I question those prices, because I know that they're probably eBay sales, and who knows if it's actually very good. I don't know.
Most things on eBay, the grade's just not right.
They're probably lower grade than what they're showing, but
yeah. So
if you can find one,
take it with a grain of salt when I say that. But,
know what you're buying.
But remember, when people price, they look at established prices, and they might try to stick their toe in the water and say $200, and then other people look and say, well, one sold for $50. If I were you, if someone asked for $100 and it was really a 4.0, you should buy it. Just saying.
With your dreams.
If you don't have a copy of this, grab one. Grab a nice looking copy. However you collect, whatever grade you collected. Moving on.
So this next one, I was confused about because it's the first appearance of Abel. The House of Secrets has the first appearance of Abel in title.
Yep.
But DC Special number 4 from 1969, Neil Adams cover, is the first appearance of Abel.
Yeah, he's not the storyteller. He's not like the guy.
He's just there.
Hanging out.
He's there. This book's cool.
Rachel does not like this book. She confused it with a later issue.
I thought it was something else.
She confused it with a later issue, but it is a key.
It is. First appearance of Abel.
And it's not hard. It's not easy to find and grade.
No, there's only 64 total graded copies. There's no 9/8s. There's 6 9/6s and 5 9/4s. The highest sale in 9/6 ever was in 2020 for $700.
Yeah, this is a book you should hunt down. I saw that there's some track sales of $20 for this, and Very Good. If you can get it, just get a copy. Now you got the first appearance of Abel. He's been around for ever since. He's still in stories. He was in Sandman. He was in the Sandman series with his little dragon Goldie. Really cool. Cain and Abel are cool characters, and I hope that at some point DC's able to use them again.
The next one is Brave and the Bold 93 from 1970. It's a Neil Adams cover, and it's got a collaboration with House of Mystery.
Interesting thing about this book, not designated a key. In my opinion, it is a key. It is the only book like it because it has House of Mystery at the very beginning of House of Mystery when all the great books are getting released. And it's got Batman on the cover. And it looks a lot like House of Mystery 174 with the door. So put those two side by side.
I feel like that cover is the reason why people think that he did the other one.
Yeah. Now tell me, is there a difference between Orlando and Adams? Love this Batman cover. It's why I love Neil Adams drawing Batman. He does such a good job. Once again, not a designated key. If you could ever get a copy of this, you should grab it. Let's talk about the numbers.
There's not many of them. There's 327 total graded copies. 6 9/8s, 21 9/6s. A 9/8 of the John Fantuccio collection.
That's a good pedigree.
It sold for $3,120 in 2022. That's the only 9/8 that's sold.
This book's popular, more popular than you think if you collect horror. And if you're a House of Mystery collector, how could you not own this? This is cool. It's just cool. Cool factor 10. Do I consider it a key? I do. To me, it's Dave Key.
How much can you get it raw?
They say $50. If you can get a 4.0 of this for $50, man, get it. Once again, call me if you don't want it, if it looks good. This is a kind of a hard book to find at all. I mean, it's not like the market's glutted with them.
Yeah, we don't see many of them.
They sell. They're popular.
The next one's Adventure into Fear, number 10 from 1972. Gray Morrow cover, Origin of Man-Thing retold, and Man-Thing begins his first solo series.
I had a 9/6 of this that I bought when I first got back into collecting. I did pretty good on a resale of it. Hard to find. Hard to find in grade. This is from a magazine, and it's in our honorable mentions. We don't really talk about magazines, and we're not going to get into that. A little different than collecting comics. They're bigger, they're harder to take care of. So we're just sticking with the comic book side of life. But let's talk about stats.
There are 816 total graded copies. There are 20 9/8s. There are 45 9/6s. The highest a 9/8 has ever sold for was in 2022 for $3,120.
It's a pricey book. It's a good one. So once again, on the Marvel side of life, this is a good one to get. If you did not know, this is a pretty important key. Well, I had no problem selling the copy that I had. I can assure you of that.
Yeah. So if you were to buy a raw one,
around $40 in the
Very good.
4.0 grade range. So if you can get one for $40, like I said at the beginning, if you wanted to and you really focused, I think you'd have a hard time finding all these very good. Number one.
You'd have to be
Number
looking.
two, I think you would find the prices to be higher than what I'm saying. Follow them on eBay, do things like that. Just when you're looking around, if you see one, grab it. Just grab it. These keys are important. Anyway, moving on.
The next one's DC 100-page Super Spectacular number 4 from 1971. Bernie Wrightson cover. The first issue, Bernie Wrightson appears in the story, and it's Weird Mystery Tales.
It's DC 100-page Super Spectacular. It's the first issue that ever was of that. So it's got some nuanced key stuff, but it's also incredibly hard to find and very expensive. And everyone pretty much knows this is a key.
And we've talked about this book many times on our channel. 268 total graded copies, 4 9/6s, no 9/8s, 4 9/4s. The highest 9/6 sale that's ever happened was in 2011 for $6,274. A recent sale was in 2014 for $5,700.
Yeah.
So it's gone down a little bit
Well,
in the 3 years.
It depends on who
time.
in that 3-year period. But I'm telling you, if a 9.4 or 9.6 hit the market,
It would be crazy.
it'd be piranhas to meet. You know what I'm
People
saying?
love that book. Yeah, people that know about it love it.
It's cover candy, and the back cover is a virgin example of the front cover with no trade dress, no words. So it's double Bernie Wrightson. You get the same cover twice for the price of one.
And we had a double cover of it.
Four
A
times.
Double cover.
Double. You know, you can get a very good copy of this for around $100. Just be selective on that back cover. I would recommend you make sure the back cover looks really good.
Because that's the best part.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely it's a consideration.
The next one's Marvel Spotlight 5 from 1972. It's a Mike Plug cover, and it's the origin and first appearance of Ghost Rider. You know about this one.
Back to Supernatural. Yeah, everyone knows what this book is, but I think a horror collector wants this. Face it, man, he's a demon that looks like a skeleton on a motorcycle. It's horror. Show it to someone and say, is this scary? They're going to say, yes, that's scary. So this has got to hit the list, and this is probably the most known book outside the first appearance of Swamp Thing that we're talking about today. Let's talk about some numbers.
So there are 6,873 total graded copies.
Popular.
6 9/8s. Keep that in mind. 48 9/6s. The highest sale ever for a 9/8 of this book was $360,000, which is insane.
And just a few years before that, it sold for $250,000. So
And no one thought it'd get higher.
I thought that would be the most because the comic market crashed a little bit in the meantime. Not for this book. This book is very important. Period.
I mean, only 6 9/8s makes it desirable.
You can get a very good copy from what I read at around $600. If you can do that, I think you should.
That seems low, honestly.
For 4.0, I think for a raw 4.0, a slab 4.0 is going to cost you more.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, a slabbed example of anything I'm talking about is going to be more.
Yes.
It costs $60 to slab it. So you got to imagine at least that, or probably way more. But the great surety that, this is a 4.0 rather than I think it's a 4.0 makes a difference. If you can grab this, you should pick it up. I think even though there's a lot of graded copies, this character I do not think has run its useful life. I think we're going to see more Ghost Rider in the future. And Marvel fans get so excited about Ghost Rider.
They love Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
The next one's another Marvel Spotlight. It's Marvel Spotlight 2 from 1972. It's a Neil Adams cover, and it's the origin and first appearance of Werewolf by Night.
I've also owned this book in very high grade. And love this cover, love this book, love the series. I think Werewolf by Night is so cool. It's a series that before I decided I can't collect everything I wanted to put together a series of these because I like Werewolf by Night. There's a lot of keys in the Werewolf by Night, but they didn't hit the muster for horror keys. The Darkhold, for instance, the first appearance of the Darkhold, which really runs through the Marvel Universe as a storyline, happened in Werewolf by Night. Moon Knight. Werewolf by Night. So there's keys that run throughout it. This book is cool. If you don't own a copy of this book, you might want to consider it.
There are 2,754 total graded copies of this book. There are 4 9/8s, just crazy, 31 9/6s. The highest sale for a 9/8 was in 2021 for $14,001. Someone got that last little dollar in the auction.
Yeah, that's right. They want it for $1 more. I've seen sales in around $125 for a 4.0. I think that's a great deal. I really do. I think if you can get this and it's a good looking 4.0, you should snatch it up.
The next one is a superhero book, Amazing Spider-Man 101 from 1971. Gil Kane and John Romita cover. It's the first appearance of Morbius the Vampire.
Yeah, and a lot of times people don't include this in the horror genre, but look, man, it's a vampire.
Well, Morbius is kind of, people love or hate him, I guess.
Yeah, he's a vampire. Well, the movie wasn't good,
People
and that
didn't
hurt.
like it.
The movie wasn't good. But look, he's a vampire. He's on the cover in the 70s. How could you say it's not a horror cover?
People love Spider-Man, so that helps. There are 7,275 total graded copies.
Few.
So people wanted it. 44 9/8s, 96 9/6s. And the highest sale for a 9/8 was in 2022 for $26,400.
Not cheap.
Wow.
I think it's gone down from that because that was the height of the comic boom.
It definitely has, yeah.
But if you're a horror collector and you like the oldies but the goodies, there's Dracula for you. We got a couple more like that coming. It's a good one. I'm seeing prices of around $160 for a 4.0 raw in this book. I think that's a good deal.
Seems pretty good. The next one's Amazing Spider-Man 124 from 1973. John Romita cover. It's the first appearance of Werewolf.
Yeah, and this is one of those books that you might not really put it in the category of horror, but come on. It's Werewolf. Have you seen the movie Wolfman that came out?
No.
I think last year. I watched it recently. It was good. Very entertaining. I used to get kind of burned out because I was raised on that stuff and I wanted to move on. But as I get older, things like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and stuff, I love the stuff all of a sudden again.
Well, they have
really
really good
nostalgic
special
about
effects
these
now,
things.
so I'm sure it looks a lot better.
I like practical effects. I like the real effects that they did back then. Like they'd fade and you could really see the transition. Like, here's another picture. But I really like them. And I think there's a lot of sentimentality to this. And I think that people in my age group really understand what I'm talking about. So Werewolf kind of resonates with that whole thing. Like, he's a man, he's a wolf, he's a horror story waiting to happen.
And him and Spider-Man are gonna fight.
The first time they meet.
The first time, as they always do. There are 2,220 total graded copies.
Okay.
44 9/8s, 139 6s. The highest sale ever for a 9/8 was $9,600.
I'm seeing sales of $50 in a 4.0 range. If you can find that, man, you should grab it. It's a cool book.
It's pretty good. The next one is Marvel Premiere 28 from 1976. It's a Nick Cardy cover, and it's the first appearance of the Legion of Monsters.
I love this cover, love this book. Never owned a high-grade copy, and I was chasing it when it was really expensive, and I'm glad I didn't get a copy and went down a bit. That's good news for you. If you can get a copy of this to put into your horror collection of keys and firsts, all these guys get together, and they have a party.
The monsters. I know some people that collect horror, they either do or don't collect monster books, but it's a horror
supernatural, book. Like, the supernatural stuff, like Doctor Strange and that whole world. It's kind of a different part of the universe, but I do kind of put it together a little bit.
So there's 2,180 total graded copies, 71 9/8s, and 171 9/6s.
A lot.
The highest sale for a 9/8 was in 2021 for $10,000.
Yeah, but it's gone down since then, significantly. So I don't think that it's not important. I think it's a really cool book. I think it's going to stay cool for a long time. So you can get a copy of this, it says, and very good for around $60. Once again, I think that all of these raw prices and very good, if you can find them, I bet you'd have a difficult time getting it for this price.
Yeah.
I think sometimes what happens is somebody sets off a 3 a.m. auction or something, or someone slips in under the radar, grabs a copy really cheap, and the next person pays double. So don't hold me to any of these prices, but it's nice to have some kind of bearings about what to expect. or what not to expect. Anyway, we have some honorable mentions I want to bring up that we didn't really get into the deets, but let's talk about the honorable mentions.
You should know about these. The first one's Vampirella #1. We didn't really talk about any magazines at all, but like out of all the magazines, this one you definitely want to know about.
There's one more magazine in here, but this is Frank Frazetta art. So, I mean, Frank Frazetta just didn't do a lot of comic art. He did it in the 50s, and then you got this. So this is definitely one we wanted to mention.
The next one is Savage Tales #1.
This is the first appearance of Man-Thing. You can't tell. It's just got, I think it's Conan holding a head on the cover, which is kind of cool. I don't have a copy in front of me, but I don't collect magazines personally, but I think there are people that really like this book.
The next one's Supernatural Thrillers #2, which is the first appearance of Invisible Man.
Yeah, so here that's a very, old horror story and been made into movies multiple times and all, it's been all through pop culture, so we wanted to mention it.
And we've sold a few of those in our time.
This is the Bronze Age first appearance of that character.
Supernatural Thrillers #5, which is the first appearance of the Living Mummy.
And once again, this book can go for a little bit of money. I'm just honorably mentioning it because now we're getting into monsters. Monsters aren't necessarily horror, but they're kind of horror-esque.
I like them.
I do too.
Weird War Tales '93, which is the first appearance of Creature Commandos.
Yeah, this is because of there was an announcement there was going to be a show that's come and gone. There's all these characters are pretty cool. Phosphorus Man was in Batman. There's just a lot going on here. I'm honorably mentioning it. I don't think it's a key that people should chase vigorously after, personally. That's a personal opinion. Yeah.
And then finally, Giant Size Chillers #1, which is the first appearance of Lilith, which is Dracula's daughter.
Pretty popular. I do think it's a cool book, but I didn't think it kind of merited a mention in the stuff we just did. So hopefully you find this helpful. I think these books are really good investment books long term. I don't say that very often.
No, we usually don't tell anyone to buy anything. But
Here's what's interesting. We do not have one copy. I sell comics. I do not have any of these. I'm not trying to sell the books I have. I'm just sharing.
You have sold many of them, though.
I've owned. I think I've owned most of these books.
Yes.
Including Marvel Spotlight 5 and High Grade.
Yep.
I've owned most of them. So I appreciate it from my own ownership of them. This has got the Dave and Rachel stamp of approval in what we think if you bought these, you would never regret it. That's the show for today. We hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe.
Click it, like it.
Please.
Slap that like button.
Comment down below. Tell us what books we didn't talk about, because we did not talk about a lot of horror books that are great. So.
Tell us all the mistakes we made and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you guys.